Is brought to you by the heartbeat of America, today's Chevy truck.
See the lightning, hear the thunder roll.
Hello, everybody. I'm Richard Leek, along with Army Armstrong, and we are back in Bowling Green, Ohio, where for 22 consecutive years, fans have been swarming to this track, actually sometimes planning their vacations to be here because it is the most prestigious pulling event in America. And Army, today, it's the super modified two-wheel drive competition.
Well, you're talking about the fans. There's an international flavor as people are from all over the country for this event to see the wheels-up action of the 2,000 horsepower two-wheel drive vehicles. Crowds love them.
Well, the fans are here, some 70,000 fans, as a matter of fact. The competition is here. They're ready to go. We're going to be ready to go when we come back with the Redman TNT All-American Pulling Series in just a moment from Bowling Green, Ohio. Army Armstrong and Army, just less than an hour ago, torrential rains finally ceased to exist here in Bowling Green, but that means bad news for these pullers. They're going to have a wet and a very hard surface to go down this track, as Jim Lyons out of Louisville, Kentucky is going to be our test puller this evening. How will the track conditions affect the pulling?
Well, the Northwest Ohio Tractor Pullers Association have been working feverishly to put the track back together. It looks like it's going to be a slick, hard track with soft spots in it. That's the reason Lyons is the center of attention for everybody that's going to pull tonight. They want to watch him to see how he reacts to the track conditions. Now, Lyons normally will immediately leave the starting line and dial the horsepower in. We can tell he's not doing it. Now he goes to the horsepower a little bit later in the track, trying to stay away from soft spot, Richard. He caught one, went to the right. A tough break for Lyons.
Jim Lyons is the defending Redman TNT National Points Champion out of Louisville, Kentucky, as we said in stitches. He has declined the test pull. That means, according to the rules, Jim gets to come back later in the competition. Obviously, Army, it's going to be an advantage for Jim to be able to come back. He's been down that chute once.
He thinks the track is going to come back to him. When they turn down that first pull, that means they've learned something. Meanwhile, the Ford, the Canadian Ford, more whiskey comes out. He will not have the option that Lyon did, Richard. He will have to take this pull.
All right, this is Roger Cochran. He is out of Bowmanville, Ontario, and he's off and running. We're waiting for the horsepower to kick in, and there it goes.
Well, the horsepower's right. Look at the weight transfer, Richard. Light on the nose, but he starts to mile an hour on the other end of the track, hooks a little bit to the left. What a shot for the Canadian Ford.
Roger Cochran, 278 feet and 1 inch, and that establishes our lead pull distance in this competition in Bowling Green. Army, isn't it an advantage to be the first official puller down the track?
Well, Jim Lyons didn't think so. He turned down that first pull. Basically, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to keep an eye on the track to see if it will actually come to us. By Lyons turning down that first pull, he believes it'll get better later in the class. Right now, HILEMAN with the Sultan for the Ford fans, Richard.
John HILEMAN, the Sultan machine out of Rockford, Ohio, is getting some nice horsepower, but the weight doesn't seem to be distributed right, Army.
More whiskey had the weight a little bit heavier on the rear wheels. HILEMAN's heavier on the nose. It's going to cost him.
It reflects on his distance, 272 feet, 8 inches for John HILEMAN. And coming to the line next is a real story, Army. Jeff Chapman, and I love the name of this vehicle, Honkin' Donkey out of Washington, Pennsylvania. This truck actually belongs to a former puller, Art Hathaway, and today is the first time Chapman has ever been behind the wheel of a pulling machine. He's got to be as nervous as a tomcat in a room full of rocking chairs.
This kind of reminds me of somebody going swimming for the first time. It's the Olympics, and they're throwing you off the high dive. He's up here with the big boys, the granddaddy of them all, and looky here, Chapman is making a good showing for himself. Good ground speed. The beautiful Honkin' Donkey out of Pennsylvania. What a shot for a right-out-of-the-box vehicle, Richard.
Jeff Chapman, first time ever, 274 feet, 1 inch. He's got to be happy with the pull as we go trackside to find out.
Jeff Chapman out of Pennsylvania lays down a good shot. Jeff, we noticed right at the very end, I don't know if the engine laid down on you or what. Looked like the truck hooked a little bit to the right, and then the horsepower went away. What exactly happened?
I have no idea. It's the very first time I drove a pulling vehicle. It's my first time.
I'll tell you what, for the first time, this young man did a fine job, and he picked a good one to start at here in Bowling Green.
Well, you can also tell it's the first time he's ever been on national television. Jeff Chapman, a little nervous in the interview, but a fine pull for him. As coming to the line next, the legendary Wayne Roush and his little red truck out of Dublin, Ohio.
One of the Chrysler-powered vehicles looking strong. Roush, the professor, trying to teach a little lesson to these fellas today in Bowling Green. I don't believe he's going to do it, Richard.
No, Wayne shuts down 265 feet 1 inch as they are all chasing the Canadian friend Roger Cochran's pull of 278 1-inch. And coming to the line next is the defending Redman TNT National Points Champion. Out of Louisville, Kentucky, he was our test puller tonight. He turned down the test pull. Jim Lyons and the Stitches machine ought to have the advantage coming to the line now.
Richard, you must remember, Lyons, the way he normally drives is he'll roll 3 or 4 feet and then pull a trigger, nail the throttle. Let's see what he does now. No, he's not doing it. He's easing into the horsepower. Now it comes alive for him, Richard, trying to get the ground speed. Second shot down the track. Let's see if it's going to work. I don't believe the combination is there.
Jim Lyons, 277 feet, good enough for second place right now. So Jim may be the 1987 national champion, but he's not going to win the championship tonight in Bowling Green.
Well, that's happened so many times in the past, up in the top 5. Currently sitting number 2, Jim Lyons. You're only 13 inches out of the lead with the Stitches Incorporated GMC. Was it a good run? It looked awfully good from our viewpoint.
It was a real good run, Army, but I had the motor, I done made 3 passes, so I had the motor so hot it wasn't making the horsepower that it should have there on that last shot. So that's what hurt us there, just a little bit, but, you know, I'm satisfied with the run.
You know, I'll tell you, I like Jim's machine, I love his ability, but most of all, I love his true blue Kentucky accent. Jim Lyons says, here comes David Stockett with the Mule out of Lothian, Maryland.
Maryland Ford going after Canadian Ford. Looks good. The weight's just about right. The ground speed's there. Let's see what's going to happen. We could have an old 1-2 punch by the Ford trucks in Bowling Green, Richard.
David Stockett and the Mule kicks it out at 266 feet, 9 inches. Not good enough to overtake first place and Roger Cochran. Back with more super modified 2-wheel drive championship competition on ESPN in a moment.